Alright everyone, so today is going to be the start of a series of videos in which we look at the 2020 Senate races for November and kind of determine which way these races are going to go. We're going to be focusing on toss-up races, competitive races, and even likely races. And these are in no particular order, so I've decided to start with the state of New Mexico. So the Democrats have already chosen their nominee, Ben Ray Lujan, as their nominee. The Republicans have not yet, although it is very probable that Mike Ronchetti is going to be the nominee since he is up in all of the polls that we have out, and there's more than just this one here, but other polls that I've seen have him up substantially. He's a meteorologist in the state, very well known. And this race is going to be more competitive than previous New Mexican Senate races. We can look at, for instance, the 2016 results. All of the New Mexican counties -4 trended to the Republican. That may not mean a lot, but in a general election environment, this is going to be very important because this is the environment both candidates are going to be running in. And I expect Joe Biden to improve on Hillary's margin, and I expect Trump to improve on his own margin from 2016, considering that Gary Johnson will not be running as the Libertarian candidate in 2020. And New Mexico is his home state, hence why he got the largest percentage here. So I think overall that does help the Republican out slightly, since Libertarians are far more likely to take votes away from Republicans than Democrats due to their similarity in ideology. But if we go back to the last time this seat was up for re-election, it was with incumbent Tom Udall. Now there is no incumbent, so things are going to change, as we're going to see the last time there was a New Mexican Senate race without an incumbent. And this race was won by 10 points, which is an impressive feat because this was during a red wave year where Republicans swept into power, both increasing their margins in the House and taking the Senate. But if we look at the last time this race was actually up, this was an open seat, we go back to 2012 when Mike Heinrich only won his race by less than 6 points. And this, by the way, in 2012 was not a friendly year to Republicans. This was when Romney lost to Obama by a considerable amount in the Electoral College, and even the popular vote lost by around 4 points. But the New Mexican Senate race was fairly close. I don't really know much about Wilson. I don't know what her positions were. I don't know how she ran her campaign, but she did very well for a Republican in a state that went to President Obama by 10 points. And Mitt Romney only got 42% of the vote here. So I think senators are definitely going to make up ground. I think Ronchetti is definitely going to do better than Donald Trump in the state of New Mexico. I think this is more likely to be even a likely margin or maybe a high lean margin. And what I consider lean is anywhere from 2 to 7. So it could be around the 7 points. It could be 5 points. But just because Trump is at the top of the ticket doesn't necessarily hinder Ronchetti. Now, I don't expect him to win. I think that is a long shot, but I definitely think he has a shot. He's in striking distance, especially since this is an open seat. Now, there isn't really much polling for the general. It just says that people have this race as either safe Democrat or likely Democrat. I don't know who Gavin Clarkson is, but I don't even think they don't really have a chance of being the nominee. They're only at 11%. So it's going to be Ronchetti. I think the polls are going to be much closer in that. And even so, polls in New Mexico tend to favor Democrats a lot. Nobody expected Donald Trump to get within 8 points of winning the state. Now, that is also, to be fair, the reason being is that Hillary did not do as well in the state. She should have gotten well over 50% with that margin. But Gary Johnson did take votes from both candidates. So that is a major reason why the state was within 8 points. But I think either way, both candidates, Joe Biden and Donald Trump, are going to improve on the Democrat and Republican margins from 2016 and put this race more into play. Now, Ronchetti obviously is going to have an uphill battle in this seat, but there's not much really on this race yet, especially with the current situation going on. Campaigning really isn't happening. There's a few ads out on YouTube, but that's about it. But this race, I would definitely put in the likely or even lean Democrat column just for now. But this is definitely a race to watch in November. It can definitely have the potential to be competitive, considering that this is an open seat. And like I said, the last time there was an open seat, it was within 5 points. And many people think that Donald Trump would hinder somebody like Ronchetti, but I think if he plays the right strategy and doesn't really pull an Ed Gillespie, but he has to balance support for the president, but at the same time not really endorsing every action the president does. Because in that instance, he would probably lose if he ran as just a Trump Republican. But he's trying to run as a problem solver candidate. I don't know how well that's going to fare for him. But the fact that there is supposedly going to be a libertarian on the ballot is probably going to hurt him, considering that libertarians do take more votes from Republicans than Democrats. He'll probably take some votes from Lujan as well, but I think ultimately this is going to be a tough battle because of the libertarian and the fact that this state will go to Biden by a considerable amount. So for any Republican, this is going to be a tough race. And this is, again, Mark Ronchetti. This is most likely going to be the nominee for the Republicans, but this race is certainly going to be closer than I think the polls will indicate. I think that this could be a race definitely within single digits. I don't really see it being in double digits considering that it's an open seat. But for now, I would categorize this as a lean Democrat district solely on the fact that this is an open seat, and open seats in New Mexico tend to be much more contested than incumbents. Usually incumbents in New Mexico win by fairly comfortable margins. And considering that there is no Democratic incumbent, I could see this race easily being a 52-45 race or something like that. But it is definitely a race to watch. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be making more videos on the other competitive Senate races. I'm going to be doing Colorado next, which I'll definitely have a much longer video on since we know much more about who the candidates are. This was basically just a video analyzing the poll numbers and looking at the past results to try to determine which way this race is going to go. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching this video. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.